Hey guys, and welcome to the Command Tower, where we make EDH decks. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Today's deck is a Vorel of the Hull Clade deck. It's going to focus on getting a ton of charge counters. Vorel is a 1/4, and if you pay a green and a blue and tap it, you double the amount of each kind of counter on target artifact, creature, or land. So we're just going to put a ton of charge counters on something, and then double that, and just get a ton of value from it. Total price of this deck is $32.35. This is going to TCG player, and it does not include basic lands. So, let's get right into the deck. First off, we got ramp. And since Vorel wants counters on things, we're going to have a lot of ramp that works off having counters. Astral Cornucopia adds battlefield to extra charge counters on it. If you tap it and choose the color, you add 1 mana of that color for each charge counter on it. Empowered Auto Generator, which is battlefield tapped. You tap it, put a charge counter on it, and add X mana of any one color for X number of charge counters on it. And Everflowing Chalice has multi-kicker for 2, and enters battlefield with a charge counter for each time it's kicked. It taps for generic mana for each charge counter on it. These are all some of the best cards in the deck, because if you can double the counters on it a couple times, they can tap for like 10 mana or more, and then it just becomes very, very good. Pyramid of the Pantheon. If you pay 2 and tap it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, put a brick counter on it. If you tap it, add 3 mana of any one color, but you can only do that if you have 3 more brick counters, so you can double the amount of counters to get there quicker. Gyre Engineer. You can tap for a green and a blue, which may not seem super good in a counter deck, but there's a lot of untap stuff in this deck, so untapping it and then getting to tap for 2 again is really good. New Horizons. Enchant Land. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature control. And Enchanted Land has tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Fertilid, another really good card. I just battlefield 2 1/1 counters on it. If you pay 2 and remove a 1/1 counter from it, target player searches their library for basic land and puts it on the battlefield tapped. So you can just keep doubling the amount of counters on it, and just get a ton of lands onto the battlefield. Marwyn the Nurturer. Whenever another elf enters battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it. And if you tap and add amount of green equal to its power. So there's not a lot of elves, but if you can get a 1/1 counter on it, and then double it, and then double it again, you're just going to get that to tap for a lot of mana. Rishkar Pima Renegade. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each of the up to 2 target creatures, and each creature you control the counter on it has tap, add a green to your mana pool. Then we got cards that work off of having counters on them. Awakening Vitu-Ghazi. Put 9 1/1 counters on target land you control, and it becomes a legendary 0/0 elemental with haste. So it's just going to be 9/9 already, and if you double the amount of counters on that, it'll just get huge. Chimeric Mass, and just battlefield the X charge counters on it. If you pay 1 until end of turn, it becomes a construct artifact creature with this creature's power and toughness are equal number of charge counters on it. Sigil of Distinction comes into play with X charge counters on it. An equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on it, and to equip it, you remove a charge counter from it. So you can just make a creature huge with this equipment. Clearwater Goblet, Sunburst. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can gain a life for each charge counter on it. So basically, you play this, you have a couple charge counters on it, then you double them out, and then you double it again, and then you just have a ton on it. And you're going to be getting so much life that your opponents may not be able to kill you. Magistrate Scepter. Pay 4, tap it, put a charge counter on it. If you tap it, remove 3 charge counters from it, take an extra turn after this one. So this can be an infinite combo. If you get 6 counters on it, which might seem like a lot, but it's not going to be that hard if you keep doubling it. So you have 6 on it, then you remove 3 to take an extra turn. On the extra turn, you double the amount of counters back to 6, and you do the same thing. Grind Clock. Tap, put a charge counter on it, or tap, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, or X number of charge counters on Grind Clock, which might not seem super good, but you can mill someone out pretty easily. Titan Forge. Pay 3, tap it, put a charge counter on it, tap, remove 3 charge counters from it, put a 9 onto the battlefield, just good overall. Golden Foundry. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can put a charge counter on it, remove 3 charge counters from it, make it 3/3. Conversion Chamber. Pay 2, tap it, exile target artifact card from your graveyard, put a charge counter on it, then pay 2 and tap it, remove a charge counter, make it 3/3. And Orochi Hatchery, one of the best cards in the deck, and just battlefield X charge counters on it. You pay 5 and tap it, you put a 1/1 onto the battlefield for each charge counter on it. So if you just keep doubling the charge counters, you just make a ton of 1/1s and just overwhelm your opponents. Then we got some cards that can help you get more counters on cards you control. Energy Chamber. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one, put a 1/1 counter on target artifact creature, or put a charge counter on target non-creature artifact. Falcon Infuser. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can put a charge counter on target artifact. Evolution Sage. And a land that just battlefield under your control, proliferate. Flux Channeler. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. Thrumming Bird. Flying, which deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. Guild Pack Informant. Flying, which deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you proliferate. All of these might not seem too good at first, but they're going to be super useful. Just help you get a ton of counters. And then once you have a decent amount, double it and just run away with the game. Search Node. Enters battlefield with 6 charge counters on it. Pay 1, tap it, remove a charge counter from it, put a charge counter on target artifact. Contagious Clasp. When it enters battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. And if you pay for it, tap it, proliferate. Deep Glow Skate. When it enters battlefield, double the number of each kind of counter on any number of target permanents, which is going to be super powerful overall. Core Tapper. Taps, put a charge counter on target artifact, and you sacrifice it, put 2 charge counters on target artifact. Gilded Baron. If you pay 2, and then something in Simic colors, and then untap it, for each counter on target permanent, put another of those counters on that permanent. Experimental Crage. It has all activated abilities of each other creature with a 1/1 counter on it. You tap to put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Then we got some cards that are going to help you untap your commander or other creatures you control. Tide Force Elemental. Pay blue, tap it. You can tap or untap another target creature. And when it lands in its battlefield under your control, you can untap it. Retreat to Coral Helm. Landfall. You get to choose one. You can tap or untap target creature, or you can scry one. Chakram Retriever. When you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. Fijian Graph Mage. Has Graph for 2. If you pay 2, you untap target creature with a 1/1 counter on it, which you're just going to put a 1/1 counter on your commander, and then you'll just keep untapping it for 2 mana, which is going to be really good. Captain of the Mist. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, untap him. If you pay 2, you can tap or untap target permanent if you tap him. In Kiora's Follower. Tap it to untap another target permanent. Filigree Sages. It can just be an infinite combo with a couple cards. If you pay 3, you untap target artifact. So basically, those cards at the beginning that tapped for the amount of charge counters on them, you can just infinite combo with those. If they tap for blue mana. Murkfiend Liege. Other green creatures you control get +1/+1, and other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. And untap all green and or blue creatures you control during each other player's untap step. In Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card, and if you -1, you untap a permanent. Then we got Card Advantage. Tezzret's Gambit. Draw 2 cards and then proliferate. Contentious Plan. Proliferate and draw a card. Midnight Clock. Taps for blue. If you pay 3, put an hour counter on it. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on it. Once both hour counters put on it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, and draw 7 cards, and you exile it. Basically, you're just going to double amount of counters on it, and you get a new hand really quickly. Trigon of Thought. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 charge counters on it. If you pay 2 blue, tap it, put a charge counter on it. If you pay 2 and tap it, remove a charge counter from it, you draw a card. Angel Heart Vial. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may put that many charge counters on it. And if you pay 2 and tap it, remove 4 charge counters from it, you gain 2 life and draw a card. Otherworld Atlas. Tap, put a charge counter on it. If you tap it, each player draws a card for each charge counter on it. So you can just give everybody a ton of cards if you really wanted to. We got Oracle's Vault. Pay 2, tap it, exile top card your library, you can play that card until end of turn, put a brick counter on it. If you tap it, exile top card your library, you can play that card until end of turn without paying its mana cost, but only do that if there are 3 or more brick counters on it. Zemek Guildmage. If you pay both of Simic colors, this turn, each creature you control enters battlefield with additional 1/1 counter on it. If you pay both the Simic colors, you remove one counter from it, creature you control, and draw a card. Mindless Automaton. Very good card in this deck. When it enters battlefield, it gets 2 1 counters. If you pay 1, discard a card, put a 1 counter on it. Remove 2 1 counters from it, draw a card. So you can just double it a ton, and then draw a ton of cards. Primal Empathy. To your upkeep, draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. Otherwise, put a 1 counter on target creature you control. Fathom Mage. Evolve. And when a 1 counter is put on Fathom Mage, you can draw a card. Then we got Removal. Dissolve. Counter a spell, then scry 1. Stoic Rebuttal. Metalcraft. Costs 1 less to cast if you control 3 or more artifacts. And you counter a spell. Negate. Counter target non-creature spell. Essence Capture. Counter target creature spell. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Fuel for the cause. Counter spell, then proliferate. Lux Cannon. Tap, put a charge counter on it. And tap, remove 3 charge counters from it. Destroy target permanent. Nature's Claim. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. Return to nature. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Or exile target card from a graveyard. Ratchet Bomb. Tap, put a charge counter on it. And you tap, sacrifice it, destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal number of charge counters on it. And then Nevinyrral's Disc. And just have it tapped. If you pay 1, tap it, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Then we got lands. Woodland Stream, Simic Guildgate do the same thing. Then enter the battlefield tap. Tap for 1 of Simic colors. Command Tower, taps for 1 mana of your color. Rushwood Grove, comes into play tapped. If you tap it, you put a storage counter on it. If you tap it, remove any number of storage counters from it. Add a green mana to your mana pool for your storage counter. Remove this way. So you just put a ton of counters on it, and then double them, and then you remove them, and you just get a ton of mana. The Surprising Cove is the same thing in blue. Mirrodin's Core, tap, add colorless, or you can tap to put a charge counter on it, or you can tap, remove a charge counter, and add 1 mana of your color. Vivid Creek, enters battlefield tapped with 2 charge counters on it. You can tap it for blue, or you can tap it, remove a charge counter from it, add 1 mana of your color. Vivid Grove is the same thing but in green. Thornwood Falls, enters battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, you gain a life. Taps for Simic colors. And Temple of Mystery, enters battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, you scry 1. Taps for Simic colors again. Then we got 13 forests and 15 islands. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.